We just showed her, and we can do any damn thing we want to do.
That's Bruce Arians. If that's one of those quotes where if I had seen it attributed to no coach, I'd know that it was him.
Yes.
That's
very few that would say that, right? No doubt about it. But, hey, I don't know if I totally buy that comment there, but I do think they found something yesterday. I will say that right off the bat as we start our Monday morning here at 8 a.m. Hey, quite honestly, they just got a better ship than you guys. That was my first superlative, the better ship award. Viking ships are nice, but it just can't mess with the Buccaneer ship. The cannons, everything just beat your Vikings' butt. Woo-hoo-hoo! But I'm starting there. Do you want to start there or what? Do you want to go there?
Your setup is just mentioning it's 8 o'clock. You don't even say what time zone it's in. You don't even say what the name of the show is.
Hey, we already did that. What, do they got to hear it again?
Blast right through it. Well, we're resetting at the top of a new hour. It's the second hour of this Monday edition of PFT Live. I'm just busting your chops. And I'm very appreciative that you were careful to enunciate S-H-I-P.
Ship, yes.
When you said it
right
5 times quickly, because
right.
You never know. You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Nope.
Or with you, you do know. You do know that
yep.
it will eventually. It will eventually come out differently. That's it. You're going to rub my face in it right out of the gate. It's like I didn't know all week long. I didn't say all week long what was going to happen. I knew what was going to happen. And I don't care that the Vikings outplayed the Buccaneers early. I knew that it was going to happen. They weren't going to be able to stop that offense, and the Vikings offense was not going to be able to sustain it. And when you have a kicker who can't make any kicks, that just makes it even more likely that that's going to be the outcome, Chris.
No, you're right. You said it. They blew it. The Vikings blew it. They had a chance early on in that football game to be up double digits at the least. But they didn't take advantage of that, and I feel like, we talk about one of these games every week where one team dominates early, but you look up and you go, well, they're dominating, but they're only up 9-0 or 6-0. That's not dominating, and you're going to let that team then get their mojo back, and Tampa did eventually. And, to what Bruce Arians said, too, and again, I'll be excited to watch this film, but I think they've done some of the stuff we've been talking about, really. Just, hey, run the ball a little bit, 2 tight end sets, play action and run the ball on first and second down. Get into third and, like Coach Dungy said last night, third and manageable, third and 8 or less. And then Brady can make the right decision in shotgun with those weapons and bam, 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 bam. But, to me, that's their most effective way of playing football, and maybe they can build on that. Because Brady, as we see, his arm is still top-notch. If you just make him feel comfortable in the pocket, that there's not going to be people hitting him, then he's more comfortable and he's willing to pull the trigger for those deeper type throws.
It did look a little rough early, though, when the Vikings had the better of the play. There was that third down. There was one where he missed Rob Gronkowski, the first drive that the Buccaneers had it. And then Chris Godwin wide open and would have been gone for a touchdown. And Tom Brady, plenty of time in the pocket to set up, to find a receiver. You suggested yesterday he sticks with Mike Evans and Gronk maybe a little longer than he should before he moves off.
Right.
But he eventually saw Chris Godwin, and he just sailed it 10 feet over his head. If any other quarterback did that, we would have laughed for an hour about it.
Yeah, he missed a few throws. He did. He missed a few throws in the game early on where we were just like, man, what? He's wide open. But he found his groove, certainly, and they're talented enough, too, as a football team to overcome that. They are. We missed a 15-yard, 20-yard completion. No big deal. We got other guys here. We got a good aggressive play caller. We'll get another chance at it. And they take advantage of it. They hang in there, even through that ugly spot like you talked about early. Their defense found their way. It looked like, man, Dalvin Cook's going to easily run for 100 yards in this football game. He's blowing them out the water, but the defense kind of shored up, and we'll see. Tampa's still one of those teams, a lot of potential. I don't know where they are right now, but yesterday was a good start by them, beating up on your Minnesota Vikings.
Here's where they are, and it's very simple. It's Falcons, Lions, Falcons.
Yeah.
So they should win their last 3 games. They should finish 11-5. Bruce Arians said last week it doesn't matter if we don't have a home game in the playoffs because there aren't going to be fans at these games anyway. So, they may have to go to Lambeau Field and play the Packers there. Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, I would sign up for that if it eventually happens. They may have to go play New Orleans again. I'd like to see a round 3 after the Saints so roundly handled them, especially in the second go-round. So, they're going to be an intriguing team in the playoffs because pretty sure they're going to get in. I'd say the percentage. I can't remember.
I think
the
it's like
percentage
95. It's like 95.
It's got to be pretty high.
Yeah,
95. I'd say they're in good shape.
Right.
And I think they're going to be a tough team to beat when January rolls around. And the big statistic that kind of jumped off the screen to me when we had the comparison up: 0 sacks of Brady, 6 of Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
If you're going to sack Kirk Cousins 6 times, the passing game isn't working. The offense isn't working well enough. And when you throw in the fact that they had their chance to go up double digits early and they blew it thanks to Dan Bailey missing kicks, that's that. And Shaq Barrett, who had 2 sacks of Kirk Cousins yesterday, said to me with a laugh, he wasn't serious about it, but he said, tell the field goal kicker we appreciate him. And they should, because the Vikings surely don't at this point. And I will be surprised if Dan Bailey isn't cut today by the Vikings.
I would think so, right? I mean, your Vikings are not out of it. They're not as we.
They're out of it. It's over. 17%.
You've seen this story before, huh?
Yeah, they're out of it. Here's what'll happen. No, here's what'll happen. They'll beat the Bears. They'll beat the Saints, and then they'll lose to the Lions. That's my prediction.
Okay. So they'll beat the Bears, and then they'll lose to the Lions?
No, they'll beat the Saints. Christmas Day, they'll beat the Saints and cause everyone to believe that they're going to make it into the playoffs some way, somehow, and then they'll lose to the Lions Week 17. That's how it works.
All right, you sound
That's
better. Oh, he doesn't love them today, everybody.
I sound practical.
Okay, so give me all right, so enough about this game. Give me a new superlative.
All right, it's the 5-finger discount award. Are you familiar with the 5-finger discount? You had money. You never had to shop left. Not that I ever did. But
it sounds like you might have.
Possibly. The 5-sack discount. Haason Reddick. What a story this was. And it just kind of happened like, wait a minute, he's got 3. Wait a minute, he's got 4. Wait a minute, he's got 5. 5 sacks on Sunday against the Giants. 3 forced fumbles. And he didn't even know he had 5 sacks. He told me I didn't realize it until after the game. And he never had more than 2 at any level of football in his entire life. It was incredible. Franchise record, most in an NFL game since 2017. 5 sacks. And it was exactly what the Cardinals needed. They were reeling. They had lost 4 out of 5. They had lost 3 in a row. They'd have been on a 5-game losing streak but for the Hail Murray. They were stepping into a bear trap against a Giants team that all of a sudden was looking pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals, as you said yesterday at one point, they out-Giantsed the Giants.
They did. I mean, they just played defense and forced turnovers by the Giants, and they just played smart and didn't make any mistakes. It's kind of what the Giants have been doing to people before this. But, yeah, I mean – that was a phenomenal, by Vance Joseph, defensive coordinator there, Haason Reddick. They were all over Daniel Jones all day long. And I mean, I had a superlative too.
He shouldn't have been playing.
No, exactly. I was going to hit this game next if you didn't, because I was going with instead of Big Blue, I was going to go Big Ooh, because it just didn't look good. Okay, it didn't look good from the team yesterday, and it didn't look right with Daniel Jones. Really, pretty early on, you could tell that he was not normal, right? And I felt like it affected his play. I don't know if that was the best thing for the Giants and Daniel Jones to have him out there yesterday. Certainly. And then he re-aggravates it, and who knows how bad he'll be here going forward. But, yeah, the Giants came out, no emotions, out-hit, and then made some mistakes and really dug themselves into a hole where their offense is just not built to make those type of comebacks, and that was enough of that after that.
How many teams, how many coaches, how many trainers, how many times does it have to happen before people realize a hamstring injury needs rest, period? I don't know anything about all these highfalutin newfangled techniques for getting a muscle to heal faster than it otherwise would. All I know is you pull your hamstring, it takes time. And usually 2 weeks isn't going to be enough time to get you ready to go back out there and play high-level professional sports, especially football. So they should have gone with Colt McCoy, and now they may have to go with Colt McCoy next Sunday night. And it creates a neat little wrinkle because McCoy once played for the Browns, but who cares? It's going to make the Browns a much greater favorite in that game if it is Colt McCoy.
Right.
But he did beat the Seahawks.
Right.
He did beat the Seahawks, so maybe there's hope.
I want to see the Giants at their best, which I do still think is Daniel Jones, of course, and I want to see Baker Mayfield and Daniel Jones go at it because didn't Baker Mayfield talk trash about Daniel Jones last year after he got drafted. So I kind of wanted to see that. But you're not going to see Daniel Jones at his best, certainly. And, the Giants, they can't play that style of football yesterday where you're going to turn the ball over. It looked like early season Giants once again. It's like, what happened? All of a sudden, their O-line just got steamrolled. It's like they could not handle the speed of the front of the Arizona Cardinals, and it was just chaos around Daniel Jones all day. They couldn't run the football, and they get a strip sack, early on, Arizona. Deion Lewis fumbles a kick return, and the Giants are down 6-0 before they can figure out what the hell is going on there, and that was that for the most part.
What impressed me about the Cardinals, and this is something that Reddick told me, they were spirited, they were aggressive, they were locked in all week in practice. The teams that know they have to get a win, you don't all of a sudden show up on Sunday and respond to that.
No.
You work at it all week.
Right.
The traces of it are there's no traces of it. It's obvious to anyone who's paying attention that this team is ready to go. We find out about it on Sunday, but it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday where the team develops the sense that they are going to have the sense of urgency that they need in order to, in the Cardinals' case, reverse that losing streak and get back into the 7th spot, which they now, can we put the graphic up? They now have a much better percentage chance of getting to the playoffs than they did a week ago by virtue of getting that win. So they now
are you sold on it though? You think they're going to make it? I mean, they still got.
Look at that, 61%. Would you have guessed that they'd be a 61% chance
shocked.
to make it at this point?
I'm shocked, especially with the fact that they have the Seahawks and the Rams on there. Or no, it's the Rams and who am I missing? The 49ers. They still have on there, which I don't think are good matchups for Arizona. Where I look at that and go, I mean, if you made me bet it, they're going to lose both of those football games. But, again, the other problem is the teams below them certainly aren't that special, and your Minnesota team can lose the last 3. Chicago, we know how dicey they are. So I guess I do understand why Arizona's at 61% because the other teams got some tough games, and none of them are consistently good anyways.
All right, who's got the next superlative?
I think it's me. I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with those run those horsies. Yeehaw! Yeah, talk about the Indianapolis Colts because when the Indianapolis Colts run the ball a little bit and show that they're gonna stay a little patient with it, it changes their football team around. It's a little bit like the Brady and the Tampa Bay thing. You can't expect Phillip Rivers to just drop back and carry you like he's in his prime still. And he's going to be throwing balls 50 yards down the field with people around him and all that. No, that's not going to happen. They need to play through their run. They still have a really good offensive line. We saw yesterday with those running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines, it's a great 1-2 punch. And, I mean, this is the type of stuff they're capable of doing if you're watching here. I mean, just a little inside zone play where he finds a hole, sticks his foot in the ground, and hits it at 1,000,000 miles per hour, but it just makes everything better. And I think the fact with, run those horsies, I mean with the running game. And then the other thing that's happened lately with the Colts that I think has flown very much under the radar. They're healthy. And the fact T.Y. Hilton is back, it adds another dimension to their offense. Because now it's like, oh, wait, we didn't really have a receiver we have to worry about, but now we have to worry about him, and that's going to help the run game, and it helps Phillip Rivers because he's got a go-to guy. It's going to help out Michael Pittman Jr., and now you're going to see him open a whole lot more. So the Colts are one of those teams, again, I know it's a little inconsistent, but, man, when they're on their game, they do a lot of impressive things, and yesterday they played some good football on both sides of the ball, got some turnovers, everything. It was a good win for them out in Las Vegas.
See, my superlative coming out of that game would have been Matt Eberflus's On Notice Award because this virus is going around now. The Raiders beat the Jets. Greg Williams gets fired as defensive coordinator. Then the Colts beat the Raiders, and Paul Guenther gets fired as defensive coordinator. And so if the Texans would beat the Colts, Maybe Matt Eberflus gets fired as defensive coordinator. Highly unlikely, but there's definitely something going around. And the thing about Gunther, and I'm going to be writing something about this after the show on PFT. The Raiders had, and you can check this out on the film, Chris. They had a guy named Chris Smith, a 6'1", 266-pound defensive end playing nose tackle for much of the game. Good luck doing that against the Indianapolis Colts with that blue wall up front.
Right.
And one of the reasons they had to go with Smith, they tried to sneak Daniel Ross through waivers last week because they needed a spot for Trent Brown when he came off of the COVID list.
And they lost him.
The only problem is the Jaguars took him.
Right.
So they were completely overmatched at the interior defensive line yesterday, and lo and behold, you're playing the Colts, and they ran roughshod all over you. You shouldn't be surprised.
No, you shouldn't.
I'm surprised on a short week that you'd fire Paul Gunther. You're playing Thursday night against the Chargers, and you're firing Paul Gunther. What are they thinking? This is John Gruden acting on impulse, and no one in the building to tell him not to do it.
Well, I mean, I don't know, Mike. I have no knowledge of this, but I mean, what do you think happened? I mean, something happened. Something happened. There was an argument. There was an argument about, you know, the beliefs and what you should do or how the defense. There has to be. That just doesn't happen, like you said, on this type of week too, a short week, you know, and you're still in the playoff race. There has to be something more than we just came into the locker room and, oh man, they were good on third down and ran the ball on us. You're fired. No, I just don't think so. There has to be something more to that story there. That is such just an abrupt thing to happen. And, you know, to your point, too, the Raiders' defensive lines, that's the number one thing they got to fix. There's just not one really big-time player there. Their best player is Crosby. He's very good, but he's not a superstar. They need to get – that's where they got to spend their money this offseason and resources. But that's
the other side of it, too. Yeah. They've put so much money into the offense and not nearly enough into the defense. So how do you expect Paul Gunther to turn chicken salad out of that? But you have me fascinated now. The gears are turning about all the things that may have gone down between John Gruden and Paul Gunther in the locker room, in the coaching office, whether it was physical, whether it was verbal, you know, a little Mark Colombo and Joe Judge action. You never know. But all we do know is we won't see Paul Gunther this Thursday. And based on your experience with John Gruden, did you ever see that kind of stuff where he gave it to his assistants the way he gave it to his coaches or to his players? Excuse me.
Well, yeah, he's tough on them. He's tough. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he questions everybody. He's going to question himself too, though. It's not like it's like unwarranted where all of a sudden he just rides one coach and you're like, oh man, coach is really, you know, being unrealistic and crazy with this guy. No. You know, I don't know where it went. You know, my history with those type of things is maybe the head coach said something, and then maybe the defensive coordinator or somebody goes off, right? They go off, and then that forces the coach's hand to be like, okay, but you don't want to be here or whatever? I mean, that would be my, 2 cents of that. I got to think something went down. I got to. It's too crazy of a decision now.
It puts you in a tough spot.
Yes.
And now Rod Marinelli is thrust into the position of being the defensive coordinator with 3 days to get ready to coordinate the defense. And there's a chance that may not go all that well. All right, next one from me. This is vindication, can we please not talk about the 2017 draft for at least 1 week now? The Mitchell Trubisky story by Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah.
You know, and we joked about this at one point last week. I can't remember when because I really didn't seriously believe it was going to happen. But from Trubisky's perspective, having to hear about the Bears trading up to take him when they could have had Patrick Mahomes, they could have had Deshaun Watson, they could have traded down and gotten Deshaun Watson. For one moment in time, for one day in his life, Trubisky was able to shut that crap up. And they looked great, and the Texans looked horrible. Romeo Crennel told the sideline reporter of the game, we're lucky that we're only down by 23 points at halftime. That's
amazing.
That's not a glowing endorsement of his team. So kudos to Trubisky. You know, who knows where his career is going to go from here? Who knows where the Bears are going to go from here? But at least it's something that he can say, for one day, I was able to get this 2017 draft talk out of my head, and I was able to go out and play well against one of the guys the Bears could have had if they didn't take me.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, good for him. He takes a lot of crap. We know that, and not deserving of all of it. Definitely not, because we've seen, with or without him, their offense has been really crappy. But the last 2 weeks, Mike, and I talked about this a little on my podcast last week, their offense has changed a little bit. I swear that they heard Coach Dungy against the Packers on Sunday Night Football, and Coach Dungy said, I think that they should get underneath the center and run the ball and be a run and bootleg and play-action football team. And I swear, ever since then, I've seen them underneath the center and doing that more and more. I think somebody went back and went, wait, Coach Dungy said this about us. Why don't we try this aspect? And I've seen more formations and personnel sets and things over the last 2 weeks. I know they lost to the Lions 2 weeks ago. It wasn't because of their offense. And yesterday was really impressive. It really was. I mean, the Bears they're not out of this. As crazy as they've been inconsistent in this losing streak, they got a chance to still sneak in this damn thing.
Here's what fascinates me, because the head coach isn't going to go back and watch the TV copy. They rarely watch the TV copy of their own games. They watch the film, right? So who was it?
Somebody said
that
something.
Heard that.
Right.
Was this
right.
like Ted Phillips? Who is it that, because it was a road game.
Yeah.
Right? So it's somebody who didn't travel to the game.
I know.
Watching it on TV, listening to it, and is able to communicate it through to the coaching staff. And the coaching staff actually heeds it instead of saying, get the hell out of here. We know how to run our team.
Yeah.
So encouraging that Matt Nagy ultimately was willing to make that change, and it worked at least for one day. And you're right, they're not out of it. Elimination game as a practical matter coming up this weekend in Minnesota against the Vikings.
Yeah, no, I know. It's their defense. I mean, we know their defense is damn good. It was dominant yesterday, and of course, hey, listen, I'm happy with what I saw, but that is the Houston Texans. I mean, and some weeks it's just like we only know they're out there because they have a pulse on defense. We're just like, oh yeah, they're out there. Look, they're breathing. I mean, but they've had weeks this year where it's so bad it's hard to evaluate other teams' offenses off of them. Yesterday might have been one of those days, but either way, good for Mitchell Trubisky, good for the Bears. They finally get off the schneid, and maybe they can turn this thing around. We'll see where it goes. Anything else you
got any more?
Yeah, I got one more. I got the
Go ahead.
I've seen enough. I've seen enough award. I've seen enough. We've talked about this game already.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
I have a question. Have you seen enough?
I have. I really have, because it's gotten personal to me. I'd like my friend Kyle Shanahan to bench Nick Mullins. I've seen enough. Get him the hell out. What else do we got to do? How many games are we going to lose this year because of Nick Mullins? I just don't understand it. I really don't. He was pitiful yesterday. Turnover machine, missing receivers that are open over in the middle of the football field. I mean, you can pin a number of games to them this year and go, no. If they just had a little bit better quarterback play other than Nick Mullins, they're going to win that game, or it's going to be very close. But he is overmatched, and it's just it's over for me. I see some of the good, but it's never good when it needs to be. It's always good like halfway through the first quarter when the game is not competitive. When the game gets tough, all of a sudden it's really below average. And, yesterday, if he just doesn't turn the ball over and plays the game close to the vest, they're going to win a defensive struggle. But they let the Washington defense score 14 points. Washington's offense couldn't move the ball really. But, his carelessness with the football and everything there, I don't know. I'll be shocked if they come back to the drawing board this week with him as a starting quarterback. Got to think C.J. Beathard is the guy here for the last 3 weeks of the year, or Jimmy Garoppolo if he's back healthy.
It's funny. Every time I see Nick Mullins take his helmet off, he just looks like a guy who is an actor playing a football player from a movie in the 80s, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Does.
And it probably makes none.
It does. I think it does. When he pulls his helmet off, I feel like I know what you mean. It's like there's background music, and he's trying really hard in a sweaty playoff game in like high school football with some cheesy 80s music behind it. I agree.
Stefan Georgievich. Stefan Georgievich. You know who that is?
No.
You know who Stefan Georgievich is?
I do not.
That was the character Tom Cruise played in All the Right Moves.
Oh, right.
Ampipe.
It's been a long time since I've seen that.
Fictional Ampipe. I'll tell you, I've spent plenty of time in Western Pennsylvania. There is no place called Ampipe. I can guarantee you that.
I've
looked
football,
on the map.
Though.
I've driven around.
Yeah.
There is no Ampipe. But, Stefan Georgievich. who had something go down in the locker room and got fired by his head coach. He wasn't the defensive coordinator, but he got fired during the game. Now I have to go back and watch that movie. I hadn't thought about that movie in years. So, Nick Mullins, thank you, or something else for putting that movie in my head now, and I have to go watch all the right movies. Okay, let's take a break. I was going to do Vindication Part 2. Andy Dalton goes back to Cincinnati and beats the Bengals as the quarterback of the Cowboys. But no matter what Jerry Jones says about the Cowboys, nobody cares. Sorry.
No,
it's over.
I definitely don't. We didn't pay homage to...
Listen, Jerry Jones actually tried to make the argument on Friday with a straight face that it's a good thing that they got flexed out of next Sunday night's game.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Nobody cares about the Cowboys.
Sure. Other thing, we just need to throw we just got to throw a little love to the history maker, and Derrick Henry. I mean, what he did again yesterday. That's insanity in the membranity. I don't know. When you up Walter Payton, Jim Brown, and Barry Sanders for most 200 – or no, LaDainian Tomlinson, not Walter Payton, excuse me – for most 200-yard rushing games with multiple TDs, that's a list that, I mean, come on. That's legend. Oh, hey, Derrick Henry. Oh, welcome to the Legend Club. He's amazing. What he does, the way they play, the speed, the size in which he runs, everything. So just wanted to say congratulations to him.
We've told him this to his face, and I believe it. He's the modern-day Jim Brown. Once you get him going, he is unstoppable. And, Chris, 1,532 yards rushing with 3 games to go. It will take, well,
a Derrick Henry type
we saw yesterday. Yeah. It'll take 3 Derrick Henry games for Derrick Henry to become the all-time single-season rushing leader.
He got the Texans, the Lions, and the Packers. None of them are good on run defense, so that can be interesting.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.